Welcome back to another episode of Engage. Today we're going to be talking about profit sharing. We have Scott Bowles in the studio today. Welcome in, Scott.
Glad to be back. Always a pleasure.
Everyone at Delta loves this time of year, especially the pilots. It is profit sharing season. And this is quite the exciting year. It sounds like we're going to be looking at about $1.5 billion in profit sharing.
Correct. Total profit sharing distributed to all the employees will be about $1.5 billion, roughly 10% of your 2024 income.
And to all of the employees, we say, you're welcome. So when we go on to DeltaNet, it gives us an idea of what our profit sharing will be. And then there's a bunch of different options that we can take, right? And we'll just note that we don't know the exact profit sharing numbers yet. Those are going to come out a little bit closer to profit sharing, but we have an estimate on DeltaNet, and you can choose a lot of different options and a lot of different ways that you can kind of spend your profit sharing. I know that you don't give financial advice, but can you talk to me a little bit about what some of those options are?
Sure. And that's probably a good starting point is we do not give financial advice. We just talk about what you can do with these different options and what those options might be. So a couple things to consider. Like you said, it's an almost $1.5 billion profit sharing payout, equates to about 10% of your eligible earnings from 2024. So one of the first things you'll see is your estimated total expected take from that. And as you said, it will be adjusted more accurately as we get a little bit closer. Hopefully it'll be a slight increase as opposed to a slight decrease. But one of the first things you would see is an option to do a health savings account contribution if you would choose to do that. And that may be something that you have already set up through payroll. The one point we would make on the health savings account is just to remember your Delta Health rewards. Frequently we'll have people that will fill their health savings account not accounting for their Delta Health rewards, which can be up to $2,400 per family. So that'll end up with you overfunding your HSA and having to rectify that on your taxes a year from now. So to avoid that, remember to account for your health savings account Delta Health reward contributions.
All right, and I do have an HSA, and I know that I did all the math back in November, October to make sure that I wasn't going to overfund my HSA. If I do choose to put some of my profit sharing into the HSA, is that something I can go in and change to make sure that I don't overfund that?
Yes, great question. And you can do that at any given time and adjust your health savings account contribution. Some people choose to contribute zero via payroll, and they simply fill it via the profit sharing. It really depends on what your objectives are and how patient you are and when you want to fill it.
All right, sounds good. So that's good to know. It's not something that you can only change during open enrollment. You can change that. So if you do choose to put money into your HSA, you have the option to go and change that so you don't overfund it.
All right, so let's say I signed up for the DPMP, so HSA just isn't an option for me. Is there anything else I should be thinking about?
Well, you can fill your 401k, your traditional 401k. That's a $23,500 bucket that you can add either pre-tax dollars or after-tax, also known as Roth dollars, into your 401k. And then in addition to that, if you choose to do or want to do more contributions and your profit sharing check allows, you can do 401a, or that is after-tax dollars, which will add to the $23,500 bucket that you hopefully already filled.
All right, so strategically, why do I care when I fill up my 401k? What is this doing for me if I put a bunch of money in my 401k now?
Great question, and a great question to have with your financial planner if you have one. If you don't, something worth considering. But the advantage in filling with your profit sharing and accelerating your fill rate with your normal payroll contributions is that you will reach the limits sooner and then begin to contribute to your market-based cash balance plan sooner. In the end, you will just be saving more. So the sooner you fill, the earlier you fill, the sooner you get to your market-based cash balance plan, and ultimately the more you will save towards retirement.
Let's say I happen to have a profit sharing check that is $23,500 exactly. So I can just go in, put 100%, I'm going to ball out, put it all in my 401k. Is there anything else I should be thinking about?
If you do contribute 100% of your profit sharing check, you will not allow room for your ALPA dues to be paid and your DPMA cost. So that would be something that you would have to straighten out at the end of the year. You would get a bill from ALPA, you'd get a bill from DPMA to level up your account. So if you want to avoid that slight irritant at the end of the year, you can leave, about 2.5% would cover both. 3%, since it works in whole numbers, would be a safe number to shoot for to leave in your profit sharing so that would be available to pay those.
All right. So just to reiterate, if you're going to put everything into your 401k, think about it. Don't get big mad when ALPA sends you a bill and says, hey, you have some unpaid dues. It's because you're putting all of it into 401k, and that is not going to be able to be assessed because of the choice that pilot made.
Correct. And then one add on the $23,500 perfectly aligned profit sharing example you gave would be if you choose to do Roth contributions, there is still a tax liability on that. So you would be paying taxes on the $23,500, meaning you would not be filling your 401k simply with your profit sharing. You may actually fill it partially with your payroll. You'll have a couple of paychecks that will process prior to profit sharing paying out, and then you'll have another paycheck the day after. So it's something to remember about your 401k contributions. For normal payroll, your normal 24 paychecks a year, you can contribute up to 75% of your paycheck. For profit sharing, you can go up to 100%. Just remember the foot stomper we previously mentioned about if you do contribute 100%, you will not leave room for your ALPA dues or your DPMA expense.
This is a reminder to all of our pilots out there. Go on to DeltaNet and fill out what your preferences are for this profit sharing. And most people would probably think, oh, this will close January 31st, but it doesn't. Yeah, when do you have to have your choices in on DeltaNet?
January 24th is the deadline for your profit sharing election.
All right, so that's coming up pretty shortly. So don't forget to get in, make those elections, because it closes a lot sooner than when the profit sharing is going to pay out, when you're going to see that check hit your bank.
Correct.
All right, so are there any other options?
One thing to keep in mind is on these special payouts outside of your normal payroll, there is a default 25% tax rate for the federal tax withheld on your profit sharing election. So just be aware that will be there. Plus your Medicare and Social Security withholdings will also come out of that check. So you can take a pretty big tax bite out of the total proceeds of your profit sharing check.
Sounds good. And if I remember correctly, you can go on and kind of plop in different numbers and see what that end number is going to look like, depending on if you put something in
Correct.
401k or you put it in the HSA. Thanks for coming in and sitting down with us. Do you have any parting words for the pilots?
This may be common knowledge, but I'll say it anyway. Just keep in mind, if your goal is to maximize your savings, that the catch-up contributions for those that are chronologically gifted enough to be 50 and over, or the super catch-ups into the 60s, those do not count towards your 401k limits. So if you're trying to fill your 401k and begin to contribute to your market-based cash balance plan as soon as possible, you can wait and do your catch-up contributions and your HSA contributions after you've filled your 401k.
Sounds good. Thanks for the insight. Well, Scott, appreciate you coming in and having a chat with us about profit sharing and ways that we can spend our money. Thanks for listening. This is Engage, a podcast for Delta pilots. I'm Laura Woods. Stay safe.